started the day. De Waal was untangling fishing gut in the veld opposite the old kerk. He was walking backwards when he tripped and fell over Sissy. And then some workers heard him from the church and came to see what was happening. I was walking down Kerkstraat on my way to the tavern and heard all the commotion. So I also had to come and see what was happening. A group of people had gathered round. So I had to push through the small crowd to see. I saw De Waal sitting in the sand, with his hands clasped together viciously and praying with all his might. And then next to him in the dust. At first I thought it was some part of a sheep. A sacrifice of sorts. And then the picture became clearer. An arm. Some fingers. 2 tiny little arms. Hands. A small, crumpled little face. A little pot belly. Fat little thighs. And in between her thighs lay a mess. Like a cauliflower. Red. Gooey. Her derms all bloody. But her tiny, little split open. She had been raped. Sodomized. Disemboweled, they said. She was 9 months old. 9 months old! Just old enough maybe to say mama. To smile. To wave or to giggle. Everybody stood dead still. And finally, old Anna, trampling like a chicken, took her shawl and covered the baby. We stood in the hot sun, Makulu glaring at us for over an hour. None of us could move. We were like Lot's wife. We had been turned into salt. And then finally, an ambulance arrived. Like a great white shark on desert sand, out jumped a very tall white man, about 19 years old. And then afterwards, old Anna said he looked like Goliath from the Bible. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, and quite a few pimples. His boots were well polished, but his hair was a bit oily. And then he greeted us. Middag. None of us said a word. We stood. Bags of salt. And then he carefully walked up to the little bundle and uncovered to see what was wrong. For a second, his white face went almost blue. And then he vomited. Right there. Right on De Waal's old valley shoe. None of us said anything. None of us could move. It was like we were in church. We stood at our altar. And when he was done with his vomit, he got up, wiped his mouth on his sleeve. And then he looked around as if God might appear to help him. But nobody came. So he carefully picked up the baby. He walked towards the ambulance, climbed in, and closed the ambulance doors. Then the fat driver, as black as Goliath was white, was listening to the radio inside the ambulance. He got up, walked around, and closed the ambulance doors. But before the doors were shut, I saw the big white man. He knelt down next to the baby. He put his forehead on her forehead, and then he began to cry. A big heave of a sob, he cried. Like an earthquake, he cried. And then the ambulance left. And then nothing happened for quite a while. But then, nothing much ever happens here.
You're a weird kid. You're just weird.
I'd like to have my own place. You know what I'd do if I had my own place? Don't get mad. I'd have 3 or 4 guys. Yep, to keep me happy. Because no one guy is enough, I think. It's like they've all got parts, you know. And if you could put all the parts together in one guy, it would be enough. But they don't come that way. They're all mixed up. They got scrambled somehow. Besides, every guy I've ever been with has had other women. You think I don't know? I know what's going on. I just pretend like I don't, so I don't know why, I just pretend. That's what I do. Well, maybe it's my turn, you know? Maybe it's their turn to come to me. Maybe it's my turn to use them and to tell them to get out when I'm done with them and for them to clean up after me. Maybe I'll have as many guys as I want, and they can only come when I call them, when I ring my little bell. Now, what do you think of that?
I don't. Yeah. Huh? I don't know the name of the book.
Maybe think like that, but I don't think so. It's not. Maybe something that
We'll see the paper. She will tell us. We will ask her.
Sorry, I'm next.
I don't care that you're a celebrity, that you're rich or famous or any of that. What you can do for me has got nothing to do with your literary powers. My husband, he's obsessed with you. He makes me read your novels. All of them. I mean, they're a little bit too intellectual for my taste. I like a story that gets right to the point, you know. The sex, the violence. But I see the appeal. Your stories are free from inhibitions and cultural judgment. But my husband, hey? He's got theories on all the characters in your books. Who's going to end up with who? Who's going to be killed off? Which characters pretending to be something they're not, hiding their true identity? He goes on and on and on about it endlessly. I mean, it's like he won't shut up. You know, it's like a disease. You've infected his brain with this imaginary world of yours. And he doesn't have room for anything else. Not for his family, his friends, not even for me. We can't even have a good fuck anymore without him wanting to reenact a scene from one of your books. Can you do me a favor? Can you write a love scene without a woman being beaten to a bloody pulp? It's not like I didn't enjoy the change of pace. It's just, you see, can you talk to him, please? My husband? Can you break the spell that you have over him? Disillusion him, make him hate you. I don't care what it is. Can you just talk to him, please? Can you bring my husband back to the land of the living? I mean, if you do this favor for me, I'll be ever so grateful, you know. I might just offer you a reward.
시간 천천히만.
I seduced him. You see, he was a small boy, never spoke in the classroom, but somehow he brought possibility whenever he walked into the classroom. One day I passed him a note. "Who are you?" it said. He turned. I taught him that. You see, when he says it, it's as if he knows there's something infinitely valuable about you, wants to mine it, exact it, and give it back to you. We fucked that morning in the boiler room at break time. That afternoon in the bedleaf litter behind the woods. That night, he climbed drain pipes to find me, waking me with a touch. In the village, people sat at bus stops, drinking tranquilizers, took off their shoes on new carpet, walked towards crematorium gates, holding flowers. But that day, when we fucked, we tore the village open and found the city behind it.
Huh? You left.
Don't kid me, ladies. We are born in America. We are middle class, down to our anklets and attabeads. We started learning this stuff with our Barbie dolls. Don't give me any traditional rose stuff. You think guys would do this to you if you had these bucks? And if you don't do it, somebody else will. They will line up from here to Noma, Alaska. And what is our responsibility to ourselves? Our responsibility is to our potential. 50% of American marriages end up in divorce anyway. And you know what is given as chief cause? Financial problems. No kidding. And you're doing him a disservice? He's pining away out there. He sits with his back to the cafeteria wall drinking black coffee and wishing he wasn't alone. I mean, you aren't hardened cases or something. You can't tell a book by its cover and all that. He's bright. He's a gentleman. Jamie said he practically threw himself over the puddle just so that she wouldn't get wet. I grant you he's short and shy and myopic. But listen, he is a man among men. What he can do for you, Superman can't do. And by way of comparison, how hot is anything else that we've gotten mixed up with? Your fiance, Margaret. How many Dawns and Bloody Marys have we shared while you have agonized? I will. No, I won't. I will. No, I can't. He's cute, but we don't have the same interests. I love him. No, I don't. Come on, face it. Prince Charming has not showed up yet.
Now, Annette, do her in. Finish her off. I'll take this pillow and hold it over her head. She's got no strength in that small body of hers. Hardly any fight in them arms. The struggle wouldn't even be noticeable. Except, I suppose, if they examined her insides, her lungs would be all funny. I suppose it wouldn't look like she just passed on in her slumbers. I could run away. Go to a really big city. Go to a really big country. Meet a man. A real man. We'd go out dancing, go to the cinema, posh restaurants. And he wouldn't try to interfere. He would be a real gent. He'd pop the question. On bended knee. And I'll say, yes. Yes, boy. I'll have you. To have and to hold. In sickness, God save us. And in health, till our dying day. I'll cook and I'll wash. We'll have our own machine. I'll give you babies. 4 boys. Lovely little boys. And they'll grow up to be captains. Captains of their teams. Captains of their generations. And we'll be old and comfortable and proud of our boys. Our 4 boys. And there wouldn't be any smelly grandparents to have to answer to. Mom, are you sleeping? Sleeping, Mom.
Kill your own mom. Angang karate mag eng pugamata.
Sengimahlonjana kweniphu kaGavini. Sengizigojana kamathananazana. Ngingufezelo ngenasibiba. Impela ngangingenje. Ujuqa ejuqile umajuqa. Ujuqula amasoka nalabo abangasithandi. Balala bababhalali abajuqa. Ubajuqa ngempinda mshaye engalapheki. Ubajuqa ngomagadla aphindelela. Bathi banedlozi. Bathi banendiki. Bajuqa umajuqa. Uyasizila umasizila wonke yazisa ngesizukulwane. Sesiyosinga njalo ekhanyeni. Hleze liziveze ikhambi. Ikhambi lokusimamisa isizwe. Hleze ziyosula izinyembezi, ziyosula siphephe isizwe. Sinda balaleli iziyalo. Umajuqa ujuqa abagcogcomi. Umajuqa ujuqa ondlebe kazizwe. Ukhala kusizi. Zivikele kabanda phandle.
Guilt. Right now, your guilt is heavy fruit, growing on your branches, bending them down. Your springy sapling strength is overcome. You cannot keep your longest limbs from bending with the weight. They will brush their leafy ends against the ground. But do not ask too soon to be relieved of guilt. If picked when green, this heavy fruit is hard, sterile, and sour. Let it grow till its season comes. Let it ripen, sweeten, soften. Then it will loosen its grip and fall of itself to the waiting earth, carrying with it seeds of a new resolve.
The cage bird leaps on the back of the winds and floats downstream until the current ends. He dips his wings in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But the bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldomly see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. For the cage bird sings with a fearful thrill of things unknown and longed for still. His tune is heard over the distant hill, for the cage bird sings of freedom. The free bird stands, the free bird thinks of another breeze. Trade soft winds over the sighing trees. The fat worms are waiting in the dawn-bright lawn, and he dares to claim the sky as his own. But the cage bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts out nightmare screams. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. But the cage bird sings of a fearful thrill, of things unknown but longed for still. His tune is heard over the distant hill, for the cage bird sings of freedom.
I am silver and exact. I have no preconceptions. What you see, I swallow immediately, just as it is, unmisted by love or dislike. I am not cruel, only truthful, the eye of a little god, four-cornered. Most of the time I meditate on the opposite wall. It's pink, with speckles, but it flickers. Faces and darkness separate us over and over. Now I'm a lake. A woman bends over me, searching my reaches to find what she really is. Then she turns to those liars, the candles or the moon. I am important to her. She comes and goes. Each morning, it is her face that replaces the darkness. In me, she has drowned a young girl, and in me, an old woman rises towards her, day after day, like a terrible fish.
Settle down.
Why do I love you, sir? Because the wind doesn't require the grass to answer. Wherefore, when he pass, she cannot keep her place. Because he knows, and do not you, and we know not. Enough for us, the wisdom it be so. The lightning never asked an hour wherefore it shut, when he was by, because he knows it cannot speak. And reasons not contained of talk, there be preferred by daintier folk. The sunrise, sire, compelleth me, because he sunrise and I see. Therefore then, I love thee.
I was why does it seem that hate is so great? While hate is a very strong emotion too, nothing can equal love that is true. The weight of hate is very heavy to bear, while love seems like it's lighter than air. Accounts of hate make a big news headline, whilst actions of love you must look hard to find. But when you consider that love is patient, kind, envieth not, not pompous, not puffed up, slows to anger, seeketh not her own, bears all things, hopes all things, believes all things, endures all things, and never fails, you soon learn that the density of love is so much, although the scales be heaped with the great volume of hate, it's catapulted by a mere measure of love. Love strengthens the bearer, so one feels not its weight.
Right, thank you very much. We'll give you feedback after.